Hello again. I've been going on for a while now about how we, as a class, have got to ditch any lingering illusions about the Labour Party and dump them forever. About how Labour are leapfrogging the Conservatives in a race to the right. We know, unless you happen to subscribe to the fossilised left-wing delusions, that for the next decade and beyond, that we will be under attack from an elected one-party state, that David Cameron and the Conservatives are also moving back to the Victorian era in many ways. They try to return to family values under the hapless fool John Major. This collapsed into a discredited sinkhole of sleaze. No need to lecture us about morals. Do as we say, not as we do. It simply doesn't wash anymore in the 21st century. Instead, it's happening economically at an increased pace. The gap between the super wealthy and the majority of the population is something like Victorian times and going beyond that. In particular, in a spectacular fashion here in London. Certainly, three Conservative Labour governments enthusiastically contributed to this. The Conservatives are merely taking the process to its logical conclusion by heaping on further misery with much more to come. We are being reduced to the level of helots like in ancient Greece. So what further crap have we had from Labour in the past week or so? As Labour no longer control the state, we have to look at local government. And here in London, Hackney to be precise, we've had not a return to the Victorian times, but they've gone one better, or one worse, by a return to medieval times. So far, Labour councils have been attempting to relocate poor working class families outside London in a brutal, no-nonsense manner reminiscent of the enclosures or the Highland clearances. This has, fortunately, led to grassroots resistance by the people concerned, the E15 women and the Sweets Way people, for example. And also, on a small scale, the re-emergence of squatting, which is now, recently, illegal, thus adding to the amount of rough sleepers. But now, Hackney Council are outbidding the Tories in nastiness and are returning to those feudal values. They intend to fine rough sleepers and beggars £1,000. I have heard that they maybe intend dropping the fines for rough sleepers after much outrage was expressed from many quarters. Whether they do or not is irrelevant. The intention was there. If you want to return to medieval, try the letter written by leading Labour contender for the supreme position in that scab party, Andy Burnham, addressed to Prince Charles. It's just emerged over the last few days as when he held cabinet position. His letter concludes in the most grovelling, obsequious tone imaginable. I have the honour to remain, Sir, your Royal Highness's most humble and obedient servant. And that is a direct quote from his letter. And that's Labour prostrating themselves before the royal parasites while they criminalise the homeless. Funny, isn't it, that Labour are officially a socialist party, part of the left, and yet they've never been a Republican party. They are just like the Tories, out and out monarchists, and for that, and that alone, should be enough to damn them completely and forever. Jeremy Corbyn is now emerging as a challenger for Labour leadership on the left of this dying party. Again, more false hopes and dreams built on a foundation of jelly. In the mobilisations that will take place over the summer months, we can expect the creatures and apologists for the Labour Party to be given pride of place on opposition platforms. They should be shouted down and bottled off. or refuse to say. This happened on the March for Homes early this year, when Diane Abbott was denied the opportunity to spout her garbage by angry East Enders and homeless people. Let us carry on in the same vein. As anarchists, as human beings, we know the entire system has to be swept away, and the sooner the better. And this means Labour too. There can be no going back. No more of this Victorian feudal crap. The entire system is well beyond its sell-by date. It is deadly poison. And yet, Labour still exists, like zombies or vampires. They have to be staked. And we have to get out on the streets, occupying spaces now that the warmer weather is here. No platform for fascists, no platform for medieval monarchists, Labour more like. Express your anger and get out onto the streets. Goodbye.